The worst experience ever at the gym, at Gold's Gym. Today I was naked in the locker room. I turn around and there's a man there in boy clothes, lip gloss, standing there looking at me. I'm butt naked. So the first thing I think is maybe there's a worker in here. Maybe I missed a sign. I say the word sir to say, sir, what are you doing in here? He goes, don't fucking talk to me. I'm a woman. I have a right to be in here.
A female rapper and self-professed lesbian loses it at a Gold's Gym recently because a dude was in the women's room, the female locker room, I guess, staring at her. And now the internet has lost his mind. Check this out as Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly react to it. And stay tuned as I interact with what they have to say.
There's more in the news on this front, and it was a great post by this woman who was going to the Gold's Gym in California. Her name is Tish Hyman. She says she's a lesbian. She, so she's not anti-LGBTQ. That's her point. But she went to the Gold's Gym in Los Angeles over the weekend. I think this was the video posted yesterday, and
you have to let people know that you're not anti-LGBTQ. So you don't get hammered. But it doesn't matter because she's going to get attacked anyway, whether she's a lesbian or whatever her sexuality is, sexual preference. The fact that you go against any member of the Rainbow Coalition, you're going to get attacked.
She got kicked out because she objected to a man, I would say posing as a woman, but I mean just barely. He's making very little effort. At the gym using the women's locker room and bathroom, and she was naked and he was in there staring at her, and they asked her to leave when she complained. Here's first.
I just got to throw in there. Matt Walsh cracks me up. The dude is just so emotionless and so stone-faced. I'm watching it on my other monitor here, and the dude just makes me laugh just by looking at him without even trying.
Here she is in the Gold's Gym getting kicked out and complaining. I think that's not one. Tish.
Gold's Gym! Men! Grown men with big dicks in the women's locker room! And that's why I'm getting kicked out, and I want to make sure the girls know! The fuck? Everybody saw that man in the fucking locker room! No one's saying shit!
I think this is happening in somewhere in California. I'm not 100% sure.
And I'm fucking done with it. It's fucking stupid. It's dangerous. Me naked in front of a man without my permission. But I'm the one who gets kicked out the gym, y'all. I'm terminated for not wanting men in the locker room.
She was understandably upset, and then I don't know if it was Tish or somebody else, but somebody filmed Tish confronting the man right outside of the women's room moments later. Watch. I think it was moments later.
Did you tell me or not that women like to see dick?
I'm asking you a fucking question.
Exactly. Get out of the way now. No. Now he knows how to be a man, right? Now he knows how to be a man. Stay out of the women's locker room. We don't want it. He needs to have his gym membership revoked for that shit. And the woman told you. He assaulted me. The girl told already. We already filed reports. No.
That's fine. I want the video.
You can't get rid of me for this. I'm a woman and I have every right to not want a man in the restroom when I'm naked. There are girls naked in there. Look at them walking in there like it's okay. It's not okay.
Wow. The slippery slope, y'all. Many of us on the right, and even many that were more on the left, more moderates who are reasonable, saw this coming a long time ago with this entire rampant LGBT push that we had just a few years ago. We saw it coming. We knew once you open the door to this stuff and start justifying it and saying that it's completely normal, even though we all know it isn't. And this isn't a get on gay people or trans folk, but you can't tell these people that it's normal, that it's rational. It isn't. The transgender movement is clearly a mental illness. It's still listed as such, which allows them to get the medical treatment that they quote unquote deserve or should I say desire. It just, all of this rampant LGBT push that we've been dealing with over the last 50 years, that really came to fruition over the last 15, 20 years, Obama primarily, led to this kind of nonsense where it's being justified. And now feminists oftentimes are afraid to speak out against this foolishness.
I understand.
Matt, the reason this is happening is because the state law requires it. Much as I'd love to blame Gold's Gym, Gavin Newsom and his pals have made it state law,
California,
that every facility, public or private, has to allow this. It's insane. It's deeply wrong. And the voters of California don't seem to give a damn.
because they're so progressive, or the ones that aren't are afraid oftentimes to speak out against it. And this is the dude who's talking about wanting to run in 2028. I really hope he does. Sadly, there's a lot of people who have such a high degree of Trump derangement syndrome that they would be willing to put this guy up. All you have to do is look at his failed state of California. Look at the abject failure of its economy, of their homeless issues, of their border issues, how they handled COVID. The state is a train wreck, and he has the gall to say, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna give a go at being president in 2028." Man, but we just saw what happened in New York. Had a freaking communist socialist get elected for mayor, so anything's possible, y'all.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I do blame Gold's Gym also, though, because we blame the law, blame Gavin Newsom certainly, but also, I mean, you're a business owner in that state, you're a business in that state. You can't allow this. You cannot put women in this position, children in this position. You can't allow it, and so. If I'm a business in that state, I'm just not going to allow it. And then you kind of dare the state to, what are they going to do? You're going to shut me down? Well, go ahead. Let's have that fight.
Would.
I know, kind of easier said. But there are times in life where you have to draw a line, and this is like clearly one of them. I'll also say though that the reaction from that woman is exactly correct, and this is how everybody should react. And I think if everyone had reacted that way from the very beginning, when this madness first sort of started in earnest, like 10 years ago, then it would have been shut down very quickly. Because, like, usually I don't agree with like making scenes in public, but there are times when that's called for. And you go into a locker room and there's a man in there, it's a women's locker room. That should be a scene. I mean, that's how a normal person reacts. This is totally unacceptable.
Yes.
I remember a few years ago, Chris Rock hosted the the Oscars. And I think somebody implied a gay joke or something like that. And he said something like that, "You ain't going to have the gay mafia come after me." It was something along those lines. It's been a while, but it's so true. And this is why people don't react like this. Even though we all know instinctually, inherently, that this is foolishness, but most people have been shamed into silence. They are afraid to voice their opinion because the cancel culture will come after you every which way. And now we see in a lot of places, in a lot of ways, they will act violently. Heck, all you have to do is look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk was just a accumulation of what's been brewing for years on the left. If you say something that they don't like, their remedy is, okay, what you said was violent, what you said was hateful, so therefore, or what you said was threatened my very existence, so therefore I'm justified in treating you any old way, even up to killing you. That's the irrational thought process that takes place in a lot of these people's minds.
Wrong. And I'm not going to go along with it to be polite or whatever. And that's too many people were willing to do that for too long. That's how we ended up in this position to begin with.
You have to be willing to acknowledge and accept that reality that they will probably come for you, especially if you have any level of a sizable platform. And I don't know anything about this lady, heard she's a rapper, never heard of her before, but you go to her X page and you see comments and posts, and she's getting hit up left and right.
So I think she deserves a lot of credit for that.
Somebody posted online yesterday, not all heroes wear capes. That's how I felt too when I watched Tish come out there. She posted a follow-up, just her on cam after it all went down. And you could feel that it was somewhat traumatic. The whole thing was traumatic for her. Here's a bit of that and that too.
I just had the worst experience ever at the gym, at Gold's Gym. Today I was naked in the locker room. I turn around and there's a man there in boy clothes, lip gloss, standing there looking at me. I'm butt naked. So the first thing I think is maybe there's a worker in here. Maybe I missed the sign. I say the word sir to say, sir, what are you doing in here? He goes, don't fucking talk to me. I'm a woman. I have a right to be in here. Immediately, I'm fucking pissed because I'm butt naked. I feel violated. And then I talk to the people that work at Gold's Gym, and they don't really have anything to do. They just like, oh, we can file a report about it, incident report. What the fuck is going on? I'm a lesbian. I've been a lesbian my whole life. I treat people how I want to be treated regardless of whatever their sexual orientation is or whatever they decide. So I'm not transphobic and I'm not homophobic. I'm not straightphobic. I'm not racist. None of these things. Why do you guys think it's okay for men to be in the women's restroom?
Brainwashing. That's why they think it's okay. And a lot of our young people have been hearing this rhetoric and nonsense and foolishness since they were in grade school. It's everywhere now. And that's why our culture has totally lost its mind on this topic. Something that wouldn't even have been an issue 15 years ago. Wouldn't even have been a conversation. Now, how dare you speak out against it? Insanity, y'all.
You know, Matt, Gavin Newsom follows me on X, and I tweeted that out. And I tagged him saying, help her. Help her. He won't.
Of course.
He has absolutely no courage on this front. And while he talked a good game with our pal Charlie, when he had him on about how it's unfair to have men in women's sports, he later just said, oh, it's just such a complicated issue, so confusing, and threw up his hands. He's not going to help Tish. He's not going to help girls dealing with boys in his sport. And it's really going to come down to President Trump and just how intrusive he can be on these states that insist on fostering this harassment.
And the closer it gets to 2028, Gavin Newsom is going to attempt to frame himself as being some semblance of a moderate. Of us who have followed anything to do with California and that failed state and his failed administration, we know better. We know otherwise. But that's how he's going to attempt. That's why he even had Charlie Kirk on. That's why he's been crying and begging to go on Joe Rogan, because he wants to seem like he's a man for the people. Dudes like that disgust me.
Right, and it should be. I mean, this is a place for federal law. There can be laws passed on the federal level, because this is not a states' rights thing. This is a human rights thing. This is a human right. This is an infringement on your rights as a human being, as a woman. You know, to just like a basic level of privacy and safety and security when you're in your most vulnerable state in the locker room. Yeah, you do have a right to that, and that is being infringed upon. And so it is a federal issue. And, you know, I will say that Tish, she asked him that question. She says, how could anyone think that this is right? And the answer to the question is that no one thinks it's right. I mean, no human, or almost none. But aside from the actual trans activists themselves, and even some of them, I don't even think it's right. But everybody else, like no one else thinks it's right. Gavin Newsom does not think that that's right. There's no.
I don't know about that. I think so many people have been indoctrinated to believe that it's totally normal. I would dare say the vast majority of us know that it's not right, but you still have enough vocal clowns, especially people in entertainment, who know who side with this foolishness. And then bots and your radical activists out there, they know exactly what they're doing.
No way that Gavin Newsom could look at that situation and come to the conclusion that the woman who is objecting to the man in the locker room is in the wrong. He doesn't actually think that. He knows that that's totally crazy. And that is why Democrats have, especially over the last couple of years, for the most part, have run as far as they can, as fast as they can from this issue. I mean, Kamala Harris went through her entire abbreviated campaign and barely ever talked about it. She only talked about the trans issue when she was absolutely forced to, and then she jumped off of it as fast as she could. It wasn't like that 5 years ago. Now, 5 years ago, Democrat politicians, you couldn't stop them from running out in front of any camera they could find and talking about trans rights and trans women are women and all this kind of stuff. Because for a very brief moment in time, it seemed like that. It seemed like that was the popular position, although it never was. But now, the culture is just entirely against them, and they know it. And so they're just.
And then came the wonderful "What is a Woman" by Matt Walsh in the Daily Wire, which really was a game changer. It just completely.
This is nuts, y'all. But I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. Comment down below. What would you do if that was you? And if you're a woman and you find some dude in the women's room, women's locker room at the gym, how would you handle that? Have you dealt with something like that before? If so, I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments. But before you go, check out this video right here. I think you'll appreciate it.